Good afternoon and welcome. This is News Central Now. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top stories this hour. Governor Fubara responds with parallel secretariats as police bars newly inaugurated Rivers State caretaker chairman. Troops nab suspected terrorists mastermind of Taraba attacks. And Kenyan police fire tear gas at protesters demonstrating against tax hike. Details shortly. Now, let's begin by letting you know that the Court of Appeal in Abuja has commenced hearing the appeal filed by former Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Amaewhule, and 24 others against current Speaker Victor Okojumbo and 5 additional respondents. Amaewhule and the 24 lawmakers who had their seats declared vacant after defecting to the APC are known to be loyal to former Governor and current FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Meanwhile, Okojumbo and the 2 other lawmakers in charge of the assembly are allies of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The appellate court previously denied the request by Wike's allies to overturn the trial court's order that restrained them from parading as members of the state assembly. Justice Barker also rejected their plea to prevent the Fubara-backed lawmakers from acting as assembly members. The judge instructed all parties to maintain the status quo pending the appeal court's outcome. Now, during the virtual hearing, the 3-man panel of the Court of Appeal is taking turns to listen to arguments from all parties involved. Following the proceedings, the court is expected to either set the date for judgment or reserve its ruling. Now, staying in Rivers, Governor Siminalayi Fubara has announced that the 23 local government councils will operate from alternative secretariats in response to the escalating political crises in Rivers State. This decision follows the police sealing off the council offices on Tuesday. Speaking in Port Harcourt on Wednesday, after swearing in the 23 local government caretaker committee chairman, Governor Fubara assured that the councils could function from any location. His statement came as police barred the newly inaugurated caretaker chairman from accessing their official offices across all 23 local government headquarters. The secretariats were secured with police patrol vans and armed officers as the State Police Command moved to prevent further bloodshed and maintain law and order. This decisive action by the police came amid ongoing tension between Governor Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, who have been locked in a bitter dispute since late last year. And in the meantime, more reactions continue to trail the swearing in of caretaker committee chairman for the 23 local government councils of Rivers State by the state governor Siminalayi Fubara. News Central correspondent Austin Azu, who has been monitoring the Rivers local government political crises, completes this report.
This is the Rivers State Government House where the swearing-in of the 23 local government chairmen and their vice is currently holding inside the ESCO chambers. There are heavy presence of security personnel on the ground. Meanwhile, these supporters couldn't gain access into the inner chambers to witness the events. It's expected that at the end of the swearing-in, these council chairmen and their vice will return to their various local government areas to assume duties.
The development adds another twist to the political crisis of the state months after the Rivers Assembly passed the Local Government Amendment Bill into law. The Rivers State Assembly has been vetted by lawmakers, allowing it to extend the tenure of council chairpersons, their vice and councillors. However, a court nullified the amended law, prompting an appeal. But on Tuesday, some suspected youths loyal to both Governor Fubara and his predecessor had a clash over tenure allegation based on court order.
If your tenure has expired, doesn't mean I should say because I want to please you, I will allow you. No, it doesn't happen anywhere. People must take over, manage the affair, and elections be conducted.
Some of the newly sworn-in caretaker committee chairman is here to address his people on the vision and mandate assigned him.
My vision is simple. When you trickle it down from what the governor is saying in the state, he says Rivers first. Where we are today is Faga first. The interest of Faga people first. The interest of everybody you've seen here first. We will not subvert the resources that is meant to advance and better the lives of the people you are seeing here for our selfish interests.
Meanwhile, these legal practitioners provide answers to the legality of the appointment of the caretaker committees by the governor.
What he had done is clearly an aberration, clearly unconstitutional. I think he's fanning the embers of illegality. Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution is very clear. Bearing in mind that there is a pending suit at the Supreme Court against this caretaker, and River State government is a party to it.
Now, mark you, if you look at Section 176, subsection 2, it says that the governor of the state is the chief executive officer of the state. So how can you imagine you're the CEO of a state that you want people to come outside and give you directions? The summary is that as we speak right now, there is no legal impediment stopping the governor of Rivers State from putting in place caretaker committees to run the state.
One thing residents of the state desire now is for the politicians and supporters to ensure violence, maintain the peace, and be guided by the Constitution to promote unity, inclusive administration, and achieve progress at the grassroots.
In Port Harcourt, for News Central, Austin Azu.
Now, let's also tell you that the Edo State House of Assembly has given a scorecard of its performance in the last 1 year. The Speaker of the Assembly, while reeling out achievements recorded by state lawmakers, says despite challenges, much has been achieved in passing bills that helped the executive of the state tackle environment and security challenges, amongst others.
In the 1 year under review, the 8th Assembly has had a few challenges, but with the bond of friendship, comradeship, understanding, and unity, the House stands tall. The House also passed a resolution calling on Edo State government to address the issues of the ecological problem, stagnant flood water and bad roads in Ebotubu community in Ego local government area. The resolution is calling on the Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, and other security agencies in Edo State to restructure the current security formation, comb the bushes, take preemptive steps to allow farmers carry out their farming activities, secure lives and properties to suit the present security challenges in Edo State.
Away from that, now the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has agreed to seek an out-of-court settlement over charges tendered against him bordering on terrorism and treasonable felony. The lead counsel to Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, informed the Federal High Court in Abuja at the trial of Kanu as it resumed in the capital city. Marvelous Ubomanu tells us more.
The trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, took a different turn during the resumed hearing in Abuja. Counsel to Kanu informed the court of a possible discussion with the federal government to settle out of court. He said he had informed the federal government's counsel, Awolowo Adeboyiga, about the plan. However, reacting to the development, the prosecution counsel noted that it is not in his position to negotiate a settlement and urged the defense team to approach the Attorney General of the Federation for further discussion. Other interested parties in the case also threw their weight behind the decision by Kanu, calling on government to reconsider its position on the case and give room for national reconciliation.
Recently, we saw a situation where the Attorney General of the Federation took steps under Section 174 of the Constitution, which is very similar to Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act. He took that position to discontinue the prosecution of two very high-profile cases in this country. The first one concerning Wole, Yele, Showore, and the second one concerning Bodijo of Mieteala. So these things are not unusual. So if they do occur as a conversation in open court, it's just as a matter of course. So people might wonder why such situation should not apply to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, and that is what played out in court today.
we can't go home most of the times. There's insecurity everywhere. People are being killed. Businesses are affected. Foreign remittance to our place is going down because people are leaving those rural areas. It's a matter of public interest and national interest that government considers this option provided under Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act and Section 174. And the ball is now in the court of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu government. As somebody who wants to renew interest, it's time to renew interest in the Southeast by opening the gate and let Mazen Nandi Kanu go home. And let's now open the conversation for addressing the challenges that led to this issue.
After ruling on other applications from Kanu's lawyers, Justice Bintan Yako urged both parties to meet and revert back to court. Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act and Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution permits reconciliation. It is believed that it's based on this section of the Constitution that the Attorney General of the Federation invoked his powers to discontinue and end the trial of Sowore. And now many Nnamdi Kanu supporters will be hoping that this kind of arrangement be done for him. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomman.
Our troops of 6th Brigade, Nigeria Army Section 3 Operation Whirl Stroke have apprehended a suspected terrorist mastermind responsible for the killing of 5 persons at Mararaban Azagawa village, Bali local government area of Taraba State. Following credible intelligence, the troops arrested the suspected ringleader, 39-year-old Hassan Ibrahim, also known as Godu. The arrest followed a June 16, 2024 attack that led to 5 people's deaths and injury to many others. The Acting Assistant Director, 6th Brigade Army Public Relations Officer Oni Olubor Dunde said this in a press statement detailing the operation that led to the arrest. According to him, troops of 20 model battalions of Section 3A Operation Whirl Stroke stationed at the forward operating base in Bali local government area launched a special operation to apprehend those behind the attack. We're now going to a short break. When we get back, more news. Welcome back. Now to discuss the situation in Rivers State, I am now joined by a legal practitioner, Tamuno Williams. Mr. Tamuno, good afternoon. Welcome here on News Central.
Good afternoon, my pleasure.
Good. Now, Mr. Tamuno, let me start by asking, what legal grounds do the police have for sealing of the council offices and barring the caretaker chairman, newly inaugurated, of course, from accessing their official offices?
Well, currently the way things are in our country, and then the way the police force is deployed, you hardly can posit exactly which is the basis. But generally, the police, by the Police Act, have a duty to maintain law and order. But the Constitution provides that the chief executive of a state is the governor of that state. So whether the Police Act empowers the police to seal, to protect lives and property, it must be done should I say, it must be done at the direction of the chief executive of the state, which is the governor of the state. And when the police takes an action without coordinating with the governor of the state, it tells a lot of unsavory stories. But unfortunately, that's what we have in Rivers State. It's not the first time it is happening in Rivers State. You recall that when Police Commissioner Joseph Mbo was CP of Rivers State, CP Mbo was used to defy the then governor of Rivers State. He closed roads, he harassed the governor, and not too long ago, the current governor, Governor Tobara, was also at a point harassed by the police. The point simply is that the police in a federal system of government ought not act without taking instruction or deferring to the chief executive of that state.
So, Tamuno, are you inferring that with what's going on, there might be another authority above the governor that's actually making these actions happen, seeing as the police are not at these local secretariats on the instruction of the governor? Is there another authority you might be saying is responsible for this?
Yeah, it is not far-fetched, and you must go historical. The governor of Rivers State did a state broadcast, and he said, by the powers conferred on him by Section 176 of the 1999 Constitution, subsection 2, which provides that the governor of a state is the chief executive. And if I recall correctly, he had a Security Council meeting with all the security chiefs in Rivers State.
Okay.
So if he has not directed that the council should be sealed, mark you, by the extant constitution, local government councils are still under the Rivers State government until that law is amended. So it is clear that this is something extraordinary happening, without the consent, without the direction of the chief executive of Rivers State.
Okay then, Tamino. So in response, Governor Fubara has equally threatened that he's going to establish parallel secretariats for the local government councils and that they can operate anywhere, not based on location. Are there any precedents? Has this ever happened before anywhere in Nigeria?
What is happening in Rivers State has not happened anywhere in Nigeria either. In all the 36 states of Rivers of Nigeria, when the tenures of local government chairmen ended, I was a council chairman myself. My tenure ended and I handed over. At the end of my tenure, there were caretakers. So if today the right of the governor to rule is impinged upon, the governor must take extraordinary measures to ensure that his authority is not flouted. What is happening here is tantamount to a coup. It's a coup because the sovereign power of the governor of Rivers State is circumscribed. And that is what the fear had been of all right-thinking people. Put simply, he must take steps to ensure that the order and directive he has given pursuant to the powers vested in him are not compromised or they are not shortened.
So the instance we're taking a look at now started from a case of tenure elongation. So could I ask, what legal mechanisms are in place to prevent any such thing as tenure elongation? And how might the situation in Rivers State also test those mechanisms, if there are any?
Well, luckily for us, when there is dispute between citizens among the arms of government or those in government, the judiciary is the adjudicator. So whatever happens, ultimately, the courts will make a pronouncement one way or the other. But I want you to recall that Rivers State have been so unfortunate when it comes to following the legal process. I know you recall that in 2015, in the build-up to the election of Governor Wike, in Okrika particularly, there was a rally by APC. In that rally was stopped by some persons who shot at the gubernatorial candidate of APC in Okrika. A policeman died. I'm giving an example of how this thing started. And that momentum has been kept. In the elections, some persons were arrested, police stations were closed down, hotels were closed down, pursuant to a law. Now, what I'm laying background for is that the law has not been very fast or fair in Rivers State. Don't forget again that during the elections in 2019, some parties didn't have candidates. Some persons claim that they have power over the judiciary in Rivers State.
So, oh dear, I think we might have lost him, but hopefully...
Take what the court will do. Then we have a serious problem. But ultimately, the arbiter in such dispute is the judiciary.
Okay then, Tamino, if you're still there, opposition parties in the state have also urged the federal government to declare a state of emergency. So real quick, my question is, does Rivers State at the moment with what you're seeing warrant an invocation of any state of emergency being called?
No, this is laughable. This is laughable. If the point is that a lot of us forget that the law must be founded on the custom, the conventions, and for the interest of the masses. Rivers, what has happened has not gotten to near the least threshold for calling for invocation of state of emergency. Those who are calling for that are the ones who orchestrated this plan. And they are shocked that what they planned has not happened to its highest level. They wanted to cause this chaos and use that as a basis to invite the federal government to declare a state of emergency. Now, let me ask you, which true Rivers man Which river citizen will want at this point that the governor be removed through state of emergency? Are those who orchestrated this plan. Remember, they had to amend laws. The laws that were used were amended illegally and unlawfully. So there is nowhere in this state right now, from where I'm speaking from.
Breaking communication there, but thank you very much, Tamina, if you're still listening, for joining us this afternoon on the news. Thank you indeed. Now, in a significant move to boost agriculture and ensure farm security, Southwest governors have agreed to initiate massive land clearing for farming and to enhance security through specialized units within the Amoteku Corps. The decision was reached on Wednesday during a roundtable on food security hosted by the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria Commission in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. The meeting focused on comprehensive strategies to strengthen the agricultural sector across the region. The meeting was attended by the Commissioner for Agriculture from Ekiti, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo states, Ebenezer Boluwade, Bolu Owotomo, Olatayo Aribo, Babatola Faseru, and Olasukami Olaleye, respectively. Representing Lagos State was Emmanuel Audu, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture. This initiative followed a recent commitment by the Southwest Governors Forum, which convened in Lagos to pledge massive industrialization and the revival of agriculture in the region. A total of 300 persons are currently undergoing training on improved and mechanized farming in Nasarawa State under the sponsorship of the Abia State government. The trainees departed Umuahia, the state capital, last Friday to acquire knowledge on all the value chain of agriculture. News Central's Chinwe Ogele spoke with some residents of the state on this and now reports.
With the increasingly high cost of food, most people as well as the government are looking towards farming as the only solution to the situation. Abia State government shortlisted 300 indigenes of the state for a 2 weeks capacity building in CSS Farm in Nasarawa State, adjudged as one of the best farms in the country. The citizens have applauded this initiative, but some are concerned about the post-training.
So when you send people to go and learn a particular thing, make sure you have already made provision to help them to start it. It's when they start it, when they start doing it, that's when the training is effective.
People that have gone through this are real farmers, since the thing have been going on. But they will not use those people. They will still change it, do whatever they like.
Some say it would have been better for the government to select true farmers, alleging that most of the participants in the ongoing training are not farmers.
You cannot see maybe 5 of them or 6 of them are farmers, or maybe you can only find 1 of them. All of them there, they will just occupy their names and do it well. People that are farming, if you ask them to come out, they will not come out because they have been trying to do this thing for a long time. They won't get it. So when you call them now, they say, after we do this now, they use our name, our account number, everything. Then when the thing come out, they will now remove our name and add their name.
One of the respondents who participated in a similar training in the past confirmed that there are usually benefits associated with such.
Man, that's what that I didn't get the items of it. Improve I learn a lot of things. I learn a lot. Then I use it and add up my farm and move on.
The essence of the capacity building is for the trainees to learn new and better ways of farming to improve agricultural produce and reduce the price of foodstuff in the market.
Farming is lucrative now. Can you see what a pint of gari is costing? Pint of gari is almost 4,000. What about rice? What about beans? What about yam? That's why everybody should go and learn how to farm.
Hopefully, the government will follow up on the trainees after acquisition of knowledge to ensure they put into practice all that is learned, even while educating others. In Omaha for News Central, Chinwe Ugile.
We're going on a short break now and more news when we get back. You're welcome back. Now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention announced on Wednesday that it might declare an emergency due to the escalating cholera outbreak in the country. Speaking in Lagos, NCDC Director General Dr. Jide Idris stated that the center is closely monitoring the situation and may declare an emergency if the outbreak exceeds manageable levels. His comments were made during the Adetokunbo Alakija Memorial Travel Medicine Lecture at the Civic Center on Victoria Island, organized by Nigerian Society of Travel Medicine. According to the NCDC's latest report from January 1 to June 11, 2024, Nigeria has recorded over 1,141 suspected cholera cases and more than 65 confirmed cases, resulting in over 30 deaths across 96 local government areas in 30 states. In Lagos State alone, the Ministry of Health reported 350 suspected cholera cases across 29 wards in multiple local government areas. Of these 17 cases have been confirmed, and 15 fatalities have been attributed to severe dehydration caused by delayed medical attention. In Nigeria, the term feminism continues to stir debate and misunderstanding among the populace. It has prompted a closer examination of what feminism truly represents in Nigerian society. News Central's Chidima Ona compiled this report.
Feminism, at its core, advocates for gender equality and the empowerment of women in all spheres of life. In Nigeria, it has often been equated with notions of male bashing, radicalism, and a threat to traditional values. These misconceptions have hindered broader acceptance and support for feminist ideals.
The woman has one thing to do. She will, because her husband is saying no, even if it will benefit the family, the woman will have to submit to the what? To the husband's ideology, provided even if the husband is sincerely wrong. But because of the culture has made it, woman belongs to the kitchen, the man is the head. It is true, the man is the head, only when he submits to his wife as well.
They are trying to tell me that you don't need to be under a man's roof. You can be an individual yourself. Whatever you need man for, is it not for children? Is it not just to give birth? But now that I'm hearing the meaning of feminism now, I think the media is doing a wrong news about that.
If I have a male child and I have a girl child, I should treat them equally. In those days, you see someone say, oh, you don't need to spend much on a girl child, which is wrong, because you don't know what the future lies. So we treat them equally, you balance it.
While some cultural norms provide stability in some aspects, they sometimes perpetuate inequalities. Moreover, the media, which plays a pivotal role in shaping public opinion, often misrepresents its goals by contributing to further confusion about a more accurate understanding of feminism.
I think it majorly has to do with the media portrayal of feminism, especially in the social space, that's just social media, especially Twitter and the rest. So feminism these days is now a thing of 18 men being vowed towards men. The portrayal of feminism on social media, it comes from a place of trauma that has not been dealt with. You know, people are not healed. So it's a one-side story. It's not coming from a place of logical reasoning and thinking. Because if we were to think about it, everybody should be feminist.
As strides are being made towards achieving greater gender equality in Nigeria, efforts that align with a more inclusive society for all should be taken to achieve lasting impact.
In the south of the continent, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has begun a new era following his sworn-in for a second full term in office. He remains in office even though his party, the African National Congress, failed to secure a majority in parliament during last month's election. Ramaphosa will serve in a deal with its longtime rival Democratic Alliance and other parties that form a coalition government. South African dignitaries and African heads of states were invited to the inauguration, which included the leaders of Nigeria, Angola, Zimbabwe, Congo-Brazzaville, and Eswatini, among others. News Central's Bongani Sisiba reports.
For South Africa, a chance to renew, rebuild, and rediscover. Together, South Africans can make a brighter future.
In a moment of great significance,
leaders, dignitaries, and South Africans alike coming together to witness history being made. For this man, so begins a new chapter. With every step he takes, every echo of the national anthem, each sound of gun salute, all resonate through his ears, a reminder of the weight of responsibility that rests on his shoulders. The time has come for President Cyril Ramaphosa to take his oath, to reaffirm his commitment to serving the people of South Africa. With every word spoken, he seals his bond with the nation, pledging to uphold the Constitution and serve the people with dedication and loyalty.
It is a moment when we must choose to either move forward together or risk losing all we have built. In this moment, we must choose to move forward, to close the distances between South Africans and to build a more equal society, to translate the promise of our Constitution and the vision of the Freedom Charter into a reality for all.
He also has a message for his critics.
Those who seek to stand in our way, those who seek to inflame tensions in our country, will not succeed because South Africans are resolute. Those who seek to undermine our institutions will fail because democracy lives in the hearts of all our people and shall never be dislodged.
However, South Africans are particularly restless. They demand that their voices be heard. They want jobs, education, healthcare. They want their future secured.
We need change. We ask for change. We ask that the president intervenes in the basic of education and sees the needs of children in schools.
The most important thing, unemployment, which is high. That is why we have a high rate of crime in South Africa. And if we can improve our education system so that all the learners can go to school, and we have not only the theoretical part, but the practical part of it.
And a call for unity.
Those parties are khonanga ukuthi zifinyelelana, it's as if they don't want to impumelelo, but I think if singabambana la South Africa senze into eyi-one, sibambane sibe into eyi-one, I think we'll move together for the better future.
At the Union buildings in Pretoria, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
In central part of the continent, at least 5 people, including women and children, were killed in renewed clashes between Rwandan-backed M23 rebels and government forces in eastern DR Congo on Wednesday. This tragic incident breaks a 2-week lull in fighting. The violence erupted on Wednesday morning, drawing nearer to the strategic town of Kanyabayonga, located on the northern front of a conflict that has plagued North Kivu province since late 2021. Kanyabayonga has become a focal point in the M23's armed campaign against the Congolese armed forces. In recent months, tens of thousands of people have fled to Kanyabayonga to escape the advancing rebels. The town, home to over 60,000 residents, lies approximately 100 kilometers from Goma, the provincial capital of North Kivu. Earlier this month, the International Committee of the Red Cross had to suspend food deliveries to thousands of displaced households in Kanyabayonga due to the intensified fighting in the area. In the east of the continent, police fired tear gas at as Kenyans took to the streets again in Nairobi, continuing their Occupy Parliament protest and vowing nationwide demonstrations against tax hikes that many fear will worsen a cost of living crisis. The cash-strapped government of President William Ruto agreed to make some concessions on Tuesday after hundreds of mostly young protesters clashed with the police in the capital, Nairobi. But the government will still go ahead with some tax increases and has defended the proposed hikes as necessary for filling its coffers and cutting reliance on external borrowing. Protesters in Nairobi said that they would march to Parliament, which must pass the final version of the bill before June 30. The taxes were projected to raise 346.7 billion shillings. That's about $2.7 billion, equivalent to 1.9% of GDP, and reduce the budget deficit from 5.7% to 3.3% of GDP. Our survivors had to wait 40 years for the perpetrators of their assaults to be convicted in a Peruvian court. 10 military officers were sentenced in Lima by the First National Superior Criminal Court to up to 12 years in prison for sexually assaulting 9 rural women and girls in 1984. This happened when the army was fighting the Maoist Shining Party guerrillas and set up a base near the Andine towns of Manta and Vilca, now one of Peru's poorest regions. In May of this year, the government's Unified Registry of Victims of the Conflict estimated that there were 5,882 cases of sexual assaults during the period of armed conflict.
Martín Sierra Gabriel, con DNI número 45272333, en calidad de autor directo del delito contra la libertad y violación sexual en agravio de las personas iniciales VGA, ilícito previsto y sancionado en el artículo 170 del Código Penal, modificado por la Ley 26-29-3, considerado como un delito de lesa humanidad.
Muy poco. 20 años de lucha hemos tenido, pero no estoy contento, no estoy conforme con 10 años de sentencia.
Ninguno se han presentado los que estaban denunciados. Son cobardes.
Ella ha sido tan víctima como nosotros. Ha sido humillada. Marilia Araujo ya no está en esta tierra. Ya se fue ya. Ella...
Now, Mexico President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum has promised tougher measures to fight extortion during an event with business leaders in the capital, Mexico City. Powerful cartels control swatches of Mexico and are involved not just in drug trafficking, but other crimes including people smuggling, extortion, and fuel theft. She said that extortion must have a greater sanction. It must be categorized as a serious crime and to be prosecuted even in the absence of an official complaint, because it is always difficult for victims to report it.
Tengo la convicción de que vamos a disminuir la inseguridad. El presidente ha cambiado la tendencia, que es muy importante. A veces se suma los delitos, pero cambiar la tendencia es fundamental y a veces es lo más difícil. Y el otro tema es la extorsión, que es una de las propuestas que envió.
Let's take a short break now. When we come back, some business. Welcome back. Business now. The year-to-date return of the Nigerian Exchange Limited All-Share Index dropped to 33.53% on Wednesday after declining by 0.08%. The drop in the prices of major and medium-capitalized equities, including MTN Nigeria Communications, Nigerian Breweries, FBN Holdings, United Bank for Africa, and FCMB Group, was the primary cause for this unfavorable performance. The overall market fell as a result of profit-taking in consumer goods and insurance sectors, despite increasing purchases activities in oil and gas and banking equities. Earlier, we were joined by MD Trust Bank Asset Management Limited Aziz Lawal, who shared his thoughts on this.
The bank is offering a rights issue of about 3.2 billion shares at 9.25 naira. And also, simultaneously, the bank is also offering 10 billion shares at 9.7 naira, 5 naira. And I mean, if you are looking for investment insights, right, particularly for the audience, this is a very, very good deal because typically for a company's rights issue to be successful, it should be discounted. It should be discounted compared to the market price, right? So, and that's what we are seeing. I mean, like we said, like it was reported earlier, that the trading price of Fidelity currently in the market is about 10.85, right? But we still expect that. I mean, the price will still see leg room for gain in that price. So, so the offer is decent, right? And the room for those that are trading to also take advantage of the offering at the current levels is also very, very good.
Sports now. The poor performance of the Nigeria Super Eagles in the match day 3 and 4 of the World Cup qualifier has reflected in the latest FIFA rankings. The three-time African champions failed to secure a win in both games. The ranking of the month of May was released on Thursday morning, and Super Eagles dropped 8 places to place 38th in the world. Apart from dropping from the world ranking, they also slipped to the 5th position in the continent. World champions Argentina remained on top of the ranking, with France in 2nd position and England also dropping a spot. Now, Ghana's female national team, the Black Queens, will face Japan in an international friendly in July. The Black Queens will travel to Tokyo for the match scheduled for July 13, 2024 at the Karzawa Gogo Curry Stadium. Japan will use the game as preparations for the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, while Ghana begins preparations for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Although the date for the continent's championship is yet to be announced, coach Nora Hepful is leaving no stones unturned as she leads the Black Queens to the WAFCON. The West African national qualified for the competition for the first time since 2018 after beating Namibia in the final round of qualifiers. Meanwhile, the team narrowly missed out on Olympic Games qualification after Zambia defeated Ghana in the penultimate round of qualifiers. Now, it's been said that they have not lost, or they've lost only 2 matches since taking over as Black Queens. That's for the coach in 2023. And that's it for this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Governor Fubara has responded with parallel secretariats as police bars newly inaugurated River State caretaker chairman. And troops have nabbed suspected terrorist mastermind of Taraba attacks. Also, we told you that Kenyan police fired tear gas at protesters demonstrating against tax hike. And remember, you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screen right now, and do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central TV on DSTV, channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Able TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Apio.